Hmm. Wagwan, my people. Yes, we are back to the next generation baller show. Game week 17. Don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, all of that good stuff, baby. Yeah, don't forget to do that. Okay. Don't forget to do that. Yes, giveaway. You know what time it is. We are having the giveaway tomorrow, 6 o'clock. I will be announcing the winner. So if you haven't, go and follow us on all our social medias. Subscribe to the channel for your chance to win a new pair of boots and some FA Cup tickets. You guys don't want to miss out. You can go scroll back. We done this 2 years ago. To our winner Jesse got himself a pair of boots and a pair of tickets to the West Ham game. So guys, make sure you're locking. Great opportunity there, great prize for you guys to go and win. Let us know what you guys thought about the Premier League this weekend. Some big results happening. Some teams looking like they're picking up form. A lot of good performances. Some teams need to worry about their status in the Premier League. We're going to dive in. We're going to look at the big games that happened over the course of the weekend. And obviously, we're going to be looking at the young ballers that took part and hailing them up. Also, as well, we had the African Cup of Nations. And yes, guys, so African Cup of Nations started today. Morocco, I think they won their game. We were going to be covering the African Cup of Nations. We're going to look at the young ballers there. So make sure you're locked in on our social medias. And transfer window is coming up as well. And we guys are going to give you guys the latest rumors on the young ballers and what clubs are interested and where they might go. So make sure you're locked in. Got loads of things coming, loads of content coming for you guys. And yes, make sure you hit that notification bell. But yes, let's get straight into it. We're going to do chronological order based on the show. If you didn't watch the preview show, we're going to do it based off the preview show. Newcastle versus Chelsea. I've had my fair share to say about Chelsea this season when it comes to how their model, the inconsistencies. And funny enough, before the show, I was listening to Gary Neville. And it's funny because I don't really get along with Gary. I don't say get along like I know the guy, but I don't agree with some of the stuff that he says. But I think the treatment is how Manchester United over the last couple of years since he's been a pundit. But I do listen to his stuff, and obviously he does a lot of experience in football, so I've taken most of what he says a lot of the time. But he does a podcast every other weekend or every weekend speaking about the clubs, the Premier League, and the matches and stuff whatnot. And it was when he was speaking, a lot of the stuff that he was saying, I was agreeing with him. And when he was speaking about Chelsea, something that I've mentioned a lot of time on the show is the inconsistency. I think this game proved no Chelsea structure in one. For them to concede 2 goals by Watermaid. I've been saying Mama's name wrong all season. I've been calling him Watermore. I'm hearing Watermaid, but then. Yeah, you know how these things go. See me with names as well. Very forgetful. Sometimes I say certain things that I've seen a lot of people calling me out on TikTok because I'm saying the wrong names and certain things and this and that, and just allow me. When it comes to the names, I do get confused sometimes. But Chelsea's model, Gary Neville was speaking about Chelsea's model and their structure, and the game was how you would see Chelsea as a whole in terms of 2-0 down, Watermud scored them 2 goals. And then in the first half, Chelsea just didn't look like there was a bite. They didn't look like they was really getting into the game. And I don't know if maybe the feeling of how things have been going recently, them feelings and them habits was creeping into the game. But in the second half, Chelsea managed to get back in the game, scoring 2 goals and drawing the game 2-2. And it's an interesting one for Chelsea. Obviously, in the last 5 games, they've done really well. They've only lost 1 game, but the consistency hasn't been quite there. A draw again for them today, but I think for Chelsea, again, I think we need to nickname Chelsea Mr. Consistency FC because that's what you see from Chelsea. And I saw Gary Neville talking about the missing jigsaw. We know about Chelsea's model, and we know that they just want to bring in young players to build them up and then sell them on in the future. But the question mark now is, we can see how that squad has developed and maybe hit its ceiling in terms of what it can produce now. And if you was to, some would say, if you was to slot a few experiencing players in there, in that spine, then you might be looking at a frightening Chelsea. And for me, I would have to say I would agree with that notion, because again, young players, I feel part of their development, especially I feel like in a professional setting, is they need that experience with them, not just on the pitch, but also in the training ground, teaching them, showing them little habits that they can use in training and in the games to help them improve as a player. So for Chelsea, I think they kind of they're missing the trick there. If there was actually and it's funny because when Todd first came in, they signed a lot of, like, they signed Sterlings, they signed the Koulibaly, they signed players of mixed age, mixed bracket. Didn't really quite work out. A lot of them players were sold, and it looks like they changed the model, went down the younger route with more success, as you would say. Obviously, they've won 2 trophies and currently sitting third in the league. But for Chelsea fans as a whole, obviously, I think they would expect more from their clubs. And I think that point where the level where they're at now, I think for them getting more experience into that team and adding that experience into the squad, I feel like can take Chelsea to the next level. For Newcastle, again, it's been a mixed bag for them over the last couple of weeks. We've only picking up 2 wins in the last 5 games and 2 draws and 1 defeat. This game again today, Watermother especially, will be a player that is definitely moving his way into the Newcastle folklore. Yes, it's early stages for him, but the 6'6" giant has managed to set his time on fire. Like, it was big question marks when Isak went to Liverpool. Is he going to have the capability to fill in his boots? And let's be quite frank, he has been definitely producing the goods and goals, I should say, with 5 goals and 1 assist. He has a goal ratio of 0.42 a game. So it's, let's say, every other game he's putting in a goal, and he's not only just a target man, someone that you can get the ball up to and expect him to link it off. He has actually got ability where he's got a little bit of pace behind, got a little bit of strength, and his link-up place, pass to completion is quite decent for a forward. It is 76%, where, forwards are obviously trying to be a bit creative, maybe pass it to a winger so they can get into position. So sometimes they can lose the ball quite a lot in them attacking areas. But for 76%, 0.9% passing completion rate for a forward, you can see that stat alone shows you that he has good link-up play. And when you watch him, it's like he reminds me a bit of Peter Crouch. He reminds me of a Peter Crouch type striker, and we all know how effective Peter Crouch was for Liverpool, Portsmouth, many other clubs that he was in the Premier League with. And I think that he gives me that kind of Peter Crouch vibe. And for Newcastle, it's a gem. Obviously, they signed him this season. He's hit the ground running. They've obviously got him on a very good contract. So he ain't going anywhere soon. And for Eddie Howe, he's the type of player that he definitely needs in terms of how they're performing. And for me, Newcastle, obviously, like I said, the first half, they've done really well, getting themselves 2-0 up. It was a bit of a cagey game. Not 2 clubs really putting in emphasis. Chelsea in the second half, completely different animal, was a very aggressive and managed to get themselves the 2 goals back. But for me, now Newcastle, their next run of games, bit tricky. They not say tricky, up and down fixtures. Some they will feel that they can win. Some that's got a bit maybe be a bit difficult. They got Wolves next, then they go and play Manchester City, Brighton, and Aston Villa. Brighton and Aston Villa, and then who is the third one? Yeah, Brighton and Aston Villa. And then for me, I think it's going to be difficult for them, because when it comes to Wolves, Wolves is the easy fixture. But when you're talking about the likes of Manchester City and Brighton, Aston Villa, that's 3 teams that are sitting on the top half of the table. And for Eddie Howe, especially you got Brighton in the it is. Yeah, it's going to be difficult for them, especially where Man City are sitting in the league. Wolves, they will definitely go and expect for them to go and pick up a victory. But for Chelsea, their next round of games are important for them. I think they've got a derby next against. Wait 1 second. Yeah. It's quite hot in there. I don't know why I'm sweating. I think we've got the heat. Got the heating on. It's actually quite hot. Sorry, my thing's frozen, so I'm just gonna unfreeze it so I can see the screen. Sorry, guys. There you go. Yeah, we're back. Where was I? Yeah, I was talking about Chelsea. Oh, I'm actually quite hot. I should turn off the heater. Next time, I'll do that next. Yeah, Chelsea play. Yeah, they got Bournemouth. Yeah, they got Bournemouth and then Fulham in the Bournemouth and then Fulham and then Brentford. Wait, these changes. No, sorry, they got Aston Villa. Yes, my bad. They got Aston Villa. Then they got Bournemouth. Sorry, my computer's doing absolute Mazzolini right now. Sorry. I don't know what's going on there. But yeah. Important week for Chelsea. Obviously, they're talking about the three. Obviously, Aston Villa. We'll speak about them later on. Beating Manchester United. Has created that little gap now. 7 points between them and third, I think it is. So it's going to be interesting to see how Chelsea react to that. Can they crawl their way back into it? We'll say into it. I don't believe Aston Villa in the title race, but can they get themselves in and amongst it? Or are they going to slowly creep and let the other teams get involved in that little? Because it's interesting. It's interesting when you look at the table, because if I bring the table up now, how much points we got? We got from fourth right the way down to say, let's go to Spurs in 13th. Let's go Spurs in 13th. Wait, no. We can even go to Los Bournemouth in 14th. There is only 7 points. There's only 7 points splitting 14th from 4th. So anything can happen. And all these teams that are in amongst there, you got Newcastle, Everton, Brighton, Crystal Palace, Sunderland going really well. Liverpool's in there. Like, all these teams are good quality teams, good squad. Brentford going well, they're going for a little dip. Bournemouth sitting in 14th. Like, imagine that. Bournemouth, who was at, I think it was this time last month, they was sitting second in the league. Now they're down to 14th. So that itself just shows you how quick it can change in the Premier League. Yeah, so can Chelsea pick it up, or will other teams crawl in and get a thing? And yes, we'll move on. Sorry, just making sure my computer's not doing it. Silly stuff. Yes, we'll move on. Liverpool versus Spurs. Liverpool seem to find some form. That is now their second win on the bounce. Ekatike is looking like the man. Isak scored the opening goal for them. He scored the opening goal for them, but subsequently seemed to look like he has picked up an injury, which is going to be a big blow for Liverpool, considering Mo Salah is at the African Cup of Nations with Egypt. Liverpool would not be wanting any injuries right now. So with Isak getting injured is definitely going to be a big concern for him. It hopefully comes back soon, but looking at it might be a serious, not serious, but it might be an injury that keeps him out for a while. But the man of the moment for Newcastle definitely has to be Ekatike, a man that they signed from Frankfurt in the summer, and a lot of people, for the fee that they got him for, a lot of people was doubting and was saying if he does do well, it was one of them was for the fee that they got him for. If he does do well, then it's a bargain. But if he doesn't, then someone associate it as a flop. But he looks like he is a bargain. 16 Premier League games, 8 goals, 1 assist, conversion rate of 22%, and he has 5.8 per touches per 90 in the box for Liverpool, and he seems like a threat. He scored the header for the second goal for Liverpool. Obviously, the red card for Spurs definitely put them in a position that made it difficult for them. And for Thomas Frank, he's got some issues there. I've been speaking about it for weeks. For Thomas Frank, the Spurs fans have been saying how they're brutal over there, and their style of play and winning is definitely going to be. Well, I say brutal. I don't mean brutal in the sense because they're a team that's always winning trophies. I mean brutal in terms of how the identity of how their team wants to look. And obviously, if a team that's always losing games, there's not really an identity there. And Thomas Frank is struggling to find the balance over there at Spurs. And it's an interesting conundrum when you look at that, because when you look at Thomas Frank and Spurs, and you look at Spurs last season underneath Ange, they still have a lot of the same players that was with Ange. Even though they went on to win the Europa League, their performance in the league, they finished 17th, I think it was, yeah, and that is absolutely that was not Spurs level. So to have them to have players in that league, and I feel that's the reason why I can marry up that situation is I feel like that situation is similar to Manchester United situation when they had when they was going through the periods where we was picking up trophies, but the performances and the standards of what we expect in the Premier League wasn't there at all. And I feel like maybe the Europa League has papered over some cracks for Spurs, and maybe Thomas Frank might need to freshen up a little bit. I know he did sign a few players in the summer, but maybe he needs another couple of windows to really get some players of his ilk, of his understanding, to get his methods across. But we all know what football is. Football is a sports business, is a ruthless business. And if he doesn't start picking up results soon, he will get sacked. And right now, I'm trying to think, can I see Spurs picking up? Can I see Spurs getting it better? Do I see him getting sacked? Considering how Spurs has approached the last 18 months, getting rid of Daniel Levy, getting rid of Ange after, even though he won a Europa League, I think they're starting to build up this ruthless mentality. And I think that ruthless mentality, I think it comes from the security of what they have now with that stadium, with the money that they know they're generating into that stadium. I feel like they're in a position where now they will take more risks to try and reach that next level where they are consistently competing for trophies. They've got the stadium now, they've got the infrastructure, they've broken that little hoodoo of not winning a trophy for a long time. And now I think that they will be like, all right, do you know what? If it isn't quite working with this guy, can we really trust him with the money to get the players in that we thought that he would need to go on and make Tottenham a threat again? And they got Crystal Palace next, and Crystal Palace now seem to go through a slump. They lost 4-1 to Leeds. Leeds, another team who look like they're flying. Who would have thought that Leeds was in a position? I think it was only 3 weeks ago, that people was talking about Leeds are going to get sacked. And decent performance against Chelsea, decent performance against Liverpool, beating Crystal Palace now 4-1. Leeds definitely look like a team that are going to be part of the promotion teams that might actually stay up. We spoke about this before. And when you look at the likes, I think Fulham's in there, West Ham, Nottingham Forest, with the managers that they got, the squads that they got, they're definitely going to be looking over their shoulders when it comes to Leeds. But yeah, Spurs, back to Spurs, sorry. And Spurs got Crystal Palace next, who seem to be on a bit of a shaky form, so it's going to be a big game for both sides. Both sides are definitely going to want to right their wrongs over the course of this weekend, and over the give the fans something to cheer for over the festive period. for Liverpool and Slot. Obviously, it's a big win. 2 wins on the bounce, like I just mentioned, without Mo Salah. I did say on a previous show that I do think it's an opportunity. This gives an opportunity for Slot to finally maybe prove what he was trying to do initially by creating some standards, not set in terms of standards, but trying to get his thing across without basically the reliance of Mo Salah. Just as my opinion. But now he has the opportunity. I know they've squashed it and everything's fine now, but I think he just wants to add that it's a certainty and that discipline to that squad, that authority, I should say. And maybe that might have worked. It might have been the trick. It might have put everyone back in line. And we'll see over the festive period. Liverpool got some tough fixtures over the festive period. And we know we love the festive period. And obviously, first of all, for the people that celebrate Christmas, they're going to be with their families, opening presents and stuff and enjoying drinking and stuff. But obviously for other people, obviously me, I'm a Muslim, just being around family, just being able to watch football and just enjoy game after game after game. It's just a special period, especially in the English football period, football calendar, I should say. And the time of year that it is, it just both marries well. You know what I'm saying? Two of your favorite things, family and football, you can't go wrong. Do you know what I'm saying? So, yeah, it's gonna be enjoyable. Liverpool take on Wolves. Wolves got a diabolical record, losing again. So it's gonna be an opportunity for Slot to go on and win his third game on the bounce, and that really can turn the notion for Liverpool and Slot. What do you think? What do you think about Slot and this turnaround? Do you think it's just temporary, or do you think now he's finally cracked the key and cracked the code, and Liverpool now can go on and start pushing on in the table? I'm going to move on to the boys, Manchester United. Manchester United, man. Do you know what it is? I'll be real. Do a Man United versus Aston Villa. Aston Villa won the game 2-1. Two amazing. Definitely the first goal was amazing finish, but amazing performance all around from Morgan Rogers. Some are calling him the informed player in the Premier League right now. A lot of talk about Rodgers and especially his England form, his England position with the World Cup coming up this summer. And for me, when I'm talking about Man United in this game, I was saying in the group chat as well. I think I'm frustrated, but at the same time, I feel like I'm more happy. I'm happy at the understanding of, all right, cool. We picked up 1 point in the last 6 games, but the performances is much better. And why today impressed me most of all, why I got a clear picture and I have just increased my trust in Amorim, is that we had no Amma today, we had no Mbeumo, we had no Casemiro, and no Kobe, and then no Mazwari. So I think that's 5 players I just mentioned, and then what's his name? Bruno came off at halftime. And Man United still played well. In previous times gone, when Man United are missing 2 or 3, and obviously with and also I didn't even mention De Ligt and Maguire again, but the time's gone by before when Man United are missing key players, the performances, it changes. Man United go into a spiral. I think it was this time last season, Man United lost 5 of their last 6 games during the Christmas period. Real slump. It was getting real dark out here. And now, when I'm looking at the team, okay, the results might not have been there, but when I'm looking at the performances, it gives me hope going into the next game. It gives that feeling, that understanding that cool. I can see where the actual problems are. We're not just guessing. We're not just playing this favoritism over players and just looking at the potential over what they're actually producing on the pitch. And I feel like with Man United where they are now, we can all clearly see the stats prove it. I think Man United are the second or third most goals in the league, I think we scored more goals than Manchester City. But defensively, obviously you got the young Euro, got the young Haven at the back, and they look like they are not really. No, Haven, absolutely outstanding today. Obviously, last game, he made a mistake. And you can and this is why I talk about players different in terms of their development. And I'm talking about the difference of how Man United should structure that. I said it on my last show with Euro and in Haven. But you can see Euro, he's struggling on that right-hand side today. I think 2 of the goals came from his side today. The first goal would say he's definitely made a mistake by allowing him to get on his right and bend it on his corner. The left second goal, I would allow him because like it was a bit of a deflection on that. But we know now, we can see that the defense is an issue, but it's not an issue that Man United need to rush and go into the market in, because it's an issue that we can understand and say, look, Euro is 20, Haven is 19, we have no Maguire, we have no Delete. That's injured, things that happen. When they come back into the team, you would expect Maguire and Delete to go straight into the team. Even maybe not both of them getting taken out because Haven is producing really well. But then it's not a situation where I say, oh, Man United, like we need to go in the market, sign this and sign that. We know this time next season, Euro is going to be a completely different player. We know this time next season, Haven's going to be a completely different player. And hopefully, when we're completely different, we mean by them improving and becoming much, much better. And then with these silly mistakes that we saw in this season, some of them, or hopefully a lot of them, will be eradicated by next season. So that's what gives me hope in a sense where we don't have to go out into the market and rush, get a signing, don't really know what he's going to do, don't really know what he's going to be capable of. We can actually see that, okay, we're scoring a lot of goals. We know that we can play better in midfield. We can add better quality in that midfield. And the defense right now, we've got two of our main defenders out injured. Our third one just recently came back in Martinez, who played outstanding in midfield today. I thought, filling in for Bruno Fernandes after half time. Obviously, again, that's going to be a big blow with Bruno being out. But second half, Man United show they have more than the capability against a team like Aston Villa. Again, this is not a Wolves. This is a team that's languishing down bottom into the table. This is an Aston Villa team. I think they won 10 games in a row now underneath Emery with a top manager. Man United missing at least 6-7 key players that I just mentioned. And some would say Man United should have drawn the game. Some would even say Man United probably deserve to win the game. So that premise alone, that argument alone is what gives me hope and makes me really optimistic for the future, because if Man United do even go and sign one or two players in this January transfer window, the right players, because like Ruben said after the press conference, it's important that they don't rush. It's going to help Man United. It's going to help Man United in the future. It's going to help Man United. Currently right now, and for the near future, really solidifying and really challenging for that European spot. And I said, obviously, for a club like Manchester United, I think European football is going to change the game to transfer market for us leading into the summer. We saw Man United was to sign this summer with no European football, with the likes of Cunha and Bremo. So they get Champions League or even a Europa League football. We know that Man United is going to sign some top quality talent. But for me, as a Man United high optimistic guy, I want to see us in that Champions League, because we all know, buddy, when Man United get in the Champions League, yeah, all right, it's going to get a bit peak in there, you know what I'm saying? It's going to get a bit dark. All right, okay. But I want to give a special mention and shout out to the boy Rodgers. I think Aston Villa, Morgan Rodgers, 2 goals today for Aston Villa. Been Aston Villa's go-to man this season, has been their shining light, has been their savior, has been their talisman, all and the above. With 7 goals and 3 assists, he's definitely shining this season. Signed from Middlesbrough, Manchester City, a graduate. And so I thought that was interesting today about him. He didn't celebrate both his goals, and then he said something after about Manchester United is a great team and this and that. And I thought that was really interesting. I thought that was really, really interesting in the fact that he didn't want to celebrate. He said some respectful things about Manchester United. I don't know. Is he a potential summer target? But hey, his performances now currently this season, it's even asking some big question marks for Thomas Tuchel and his England selection, with Rodgers having the ability to play on the left as a 10, on the right. Thomas Tuchel has got a major conundrum, because something that Gary Neville said as well was 4 years ago, when it came to their England setup, maybe he was hoping that we had a one Rodgers, a type player like Rodgers, or 2. But now we've got 5, 6 to choose from. And Rodgers, the standard that Rodgers is even now performing in the best league in the world, definitely has to give Thomas Tuchel some questions to ask us in terms of definitely with his current form, how he's performing right now. I personally feel that Rodgers, is looking like he's gonna be starting for England in the World Cup if he carries on the way he's going, and his development. It is going to be very interesting, his current contract situation at Aston Villa, how clubs perceive him, and what they will be looking to do in the summer with him, because he is definitely a player that I feel could be one to watch in the summer window when it comes to the top clubs in Europe. Arsenal, move on to the boys. Arsenal 1-0 win against Everton. And boy, I don't know, with Arsenal, you can come at it with many different angles, many different viewpoints, many different understandings. Some people might say the performances are not quite there. Certain players are not stepping up to the plate, and maybe it's going to affect them later on down the line, and they're not going to have the ability to go in and win the title. Some people might say Arsenal were in a perfect position. They're winning games without performing their best. They still have time to get it right and click and really push on and do it at the right time. What do you guys think? Do you think that Arsenal are in a good position to go on and win the league? Do you think Arsenal are in a position where it's a bit shaky, it's a bit question marks there? Because obviously, like I said, the performances haven't, for me personally, the performances are not looking great. And when you look at someone, if you look at someone specifically like Gaio Gorkares, who has 4 goals, 2 assists in 14 Premier League games, seems quite decent. But when you're looking at him in terms of his overall performance and his ability to score for Arsenal on the weekend with a penalty, when you look at his ability and how Arsenal would like to play and Arsenal's way of football, I definitely feel like he is not fitting into that seamlessly. And at the same time, Jesus has just come back. He's added a little bit of quality in there, but there's always been that goal scoring problem with Jesus. Hence the reason why Arsenal has gone in the market and signed a striker. Or he did also have a serious injury as well. But for me, I feel like for Arsenal, I've said it many a times, I feel like if you're a title winning team, you've got to have an attacker that is at least knocking on the door for player of the season. And I don't see any of the Arsenal attackers having a player of the season. Gorkares, their summer signing, they bought him to sign goals. He, not to say he isn't scoring goals because he's got 4 goals, but his overall play, especially when it comes to the Arsenal system, on what we've seen over the last couple of years, it doesn't seem to feel like maybe over the course of the season he's going to have quite what it takes to deliver. Obviously, still a lot of time, still many opportunities for him to prove himself. But for me, that alone, I thought that's one of the main and key factors as to why I thought Arsenal ain't gonna win the league. And I just think Manchester City are gonna pit them to it, to be fair. Because when you talk about Man City, 3-0 win against West Ham, at Haaland again back amongst the goals. He just loves scoring against West Ham, and Reinders is back into gear. But most importantly, I won't say most importantly, but most enjoyably, Ryan Shirky. At Foden really is starting to look to Jonah. Ryan Shirky is definitely looking, and this is the thing that I was talking about. If you look at Ryan Shirky now, look at his physique. He's getting bigger. He's got bigger. He's got, as you can see, he's got more tone. He's got more frame onto him, and that now you can see is now allowing Shirky to perform at a much higher level. Because one of the biggest question marks that I had about Shirky was, has he got the football brain to go on and compete in the Premier League and play decent week in, week out? And now at Manchester City, we're starting to see that. We saw for his goal, his little two quick feet, got in, scored a goal. Not him scored a goal, set up a goal for, I think it was Reinders to score. But for, like I said, for Pep Guardiola to get all them creative players in there, Foden, Shirky, Reinders in there, that really helps Doku in. There's really helps Haaland, who is an absolute goal machine, just to be an absolute menace on that pitch. And I feel like that's the reason why Arsenal won't win the league, and I feel like Manchester City will. It's just because of that simple factor of one as well. They got their experience. They've got players like Haaland, world beaters, and they've got a lot of creativity in that team, yeah, with the players I just mentioned. So it's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be interesting. Who do you guys think is gonna win the league? Do you think Arsenal's got what it takes? Do you think Manchester City has got what it takes? Thanks, guys. Thanks for locking in. I know I've been here for 35 minutes now. I'm normally due for 30 minutes, so I've gone a bit over. But yes, like I said, guys, giveaway. Make sure you're following us on all social media platforms. Tomorrow, 6 o'clock, I will be announcing the winner. And then we'll probably make a sort out a date and whatnot. We'll film it. We'll show you guys what they won, their reaction to winning the prize. And we got lots more competitions coming out next year. Lots of opportunities for you guys to win boots, tickets, the lot. So make sure you're locked in on our social media channel. Make sure you hit that notification bell. Let's go, buddy.